On November 1928, Mickey Mouse jumped onto the screen with synchronized sound, winning the hearts of millions as well as their wallets. Therefore, it's no better time to celebrate this event with counting off my favorite shorts starring the titular character, especially since he's my favorite cartoon character, despite labels of being a corporate mascot. Mickey Mouse is an everyman. His qualities have helped him stand the test of time. Really think about the characters that have come back from generation to generation, but still feel like a product of their time. With Mickey, he's been wearing suspenders and gloves for over 70 years and still manages to work in any generation. Hence why I have no hesitation counting off my top 5 favorite Mickey Mouse shorts. My only problem is, I gotta keep it to 5. I mean, there's so many I gotta choose from. That's why I made some qualifications. I went to the task of making sure I chose the Mickey Mouse cartoons where he's in charge. Now there will be time when his supporting cast would play a role, but I'd like to keep the focus on Mickey. Hell, I could easily make my own list just for the shorts where Mickey, Donald, and Goofy are the main characters. I will also focus on the shorts made prior to the 2000s. While some Mickey Mouse cartoons being made today can make it on the top of your list, time will tell if it will hold up. I want to focus on the shorts that did stand the test of time. And remember, the list comes down to a combination of my own tastes as well as what's quote-unquote objectively well executed. So chances are if your favorite cartoon doesn't make the list, it might just come down to different tastes. So let's not waste any time. Let's see which shorts with the leader of the club that's made for you and me made it on my list. This is the top 5 favorite Mickey Mouse shorts. Through the Mirror. In a recreation of Alice Through the Looking Glass, Mickey travels to an alternate world where every inanimate object has a face and moves. I always love when inanimate objects are brought to life and you associate different personalities to them. I also find it funny that unlike most Alice in Wonderland adaptations, this one plays more like its own thing. Heck, I'd even question if it's really an adaptation since the source material exists in this world. So, for better lack of terms, a reimagining? Well, for whatever it is, it's always great to see an animated world where almost every character is animated. And I especially love for a brief moment there's a globe that has its own sea god. It makes you wonder, is there a planet within a planet with its own world or ecosystem and mythology and stuff? I always noticed how the studio would move away from the ultra cartoony aspects where every character would be a rubber hose being brought to life and move more towards realism. However, with this short, it's nice to see this type of surrealism brought back. Sure, it's not as over the top as Tex Avery's work, but it's one of the appeals of animation. The art of motion, and making what's not living given the illusion of life. Even a simple dance with playing cards or jumping rope with a telephone line has enough charm to win me over. With Mickey Mouse as our guide through this cartoony world, this will definitely make you relive the fun of animation and its untimely charm. The Little Whirlwind. I mostly chose this one out of nostalgia since it only makes sense to choose one of the first times I truly enjoyed Mickey Mouse. This is a newer, more modern Mickey, created in the late 30s and early 40s. But unlike other shorts like The Pointer, I do feel this one holds up more as a solo Mickey piece. Mickey cleans Minnie's yard for food. However, when a whirlwind with a mind of its own screws with Mickey's work, it makes his task increasingly harder. When it comes to this era, I find this was the time period where the Disney characters moved away from being over-the-top cartoon characters to somewhat boring archetypes, with the exception of Goofy's, whose shorts seemed to win me over during this period. However, with this short, I feel like the studio was harkening back to the same sense of cartoon fun, but with a different style. The animation of Mickey interacting with the devilish tornadoes definitely shows in this one. Alright, so they reused some of the animation from the band concert, but judging from the smaller whirlwind, it works out fine. Just from the start of the short where you see Mickey being tranced towards the smell of a freshly baked cake with its ghostly arms is another fine example of cartoony non-realism playing with your senses. So for what it's worth, I think this is a short that best illustrates more fluid Disney animation while keeping in tone with that tongue-in-cheek humor that the character was originally known for. I think it's best to show some variety, and this Mickey Mouse short comes from an entirely new generation. Runaway Runaway Brain first premiered in front of the Goofy movie about 20 years ago, and for years after seeing it in theaters, it's always annoyed me to no end that the VHS of the film didn't include it. But here it is online, included with an introduction from film critic and animation nut Leonard Maltin. In this short, Mickey forgets Minnie's anniversary and decides to join an experiment for cash. However, when it involves switching brains with a monstrous Peg-Leg Pete clone named Julius, Mickey has to convince Minnie he's in another body while handling off this doppelmouse. What I found interesting, especially with the introduction of Maltin, is how this wasn't just a standard Mickey Mouse short, but plays with the legacy of the character. He even mentions how the short is an update of the Mad Doctor, where Mickey and Pluto find themselves in another generic horror-themed short. But instead of playing with the tropes from the 20s and 30s, you have references to more modern flicks like Aliens to Exorcist. But as mentioned before, it still plays with the legacy of the character. They use the original tune Mickey whistled to in Steamboat Willie, and a reference line to the short The Pointer, to name a few. Even the fact that the villain isn't just a generic baddie, but modeled after Peg-Leg Pete, the first and definitive arch-enemy to our big-eared friend. While this short is one of the newest selections, I think animation fans and moviegoers alike will find something neat in this creepy little short.
Oh, I don't feel like myself. Oh my gosh, I'm not myself!
So let's honor our ancestors and talk about the cartoon that started it all. No, not really. Plain crazy. Yeah, contrary to controversy, what is considered the quote-unquote first Mickey Mouse short, this is proven to be the first short produced prior to Steamboat Willie. Depending on when it was screened, with sound or not, is still up for grabs. But what's known with this is that this is the first short with the character where they actually try to give him personality while introducing others as well. Mickey puts together a makeshift plane and takes Minnie for a joyride. However, from a story standpoint, it's nothing new. Heck, you could even argue that Mickey's kind of a dick for trying to get Minnie to land him a kiss. Some might argue that this is a little risque for a short, but even then, as far as personality goes, it at least gives the character an inkling of one. Yeah, a sexist, misogynist, cruddy personality, yeah, but still. But what really sets this short apart from putting Steamboat Willie on the list is the animation. Frankly, I find the animation in this short to be more impressive here than in Steamboat Willie. Rumor had it that lead animator and wonderkind Ub Works animated a whopping 700 drawings for this short. Whether or not that's true, a lot of that work shows in the moving perspective shots, which for a 2D short, let alone one from the 1920s, is pretty damn impressive. While this may be a selection you can disagree with me on, I think this short is owned to watch for yourself to relive a classic rubber hose era that truly started the character we all know and love. Okay, now say it with me. The Sorcerers Apprentice. While this is technically a segment out of Fantasia, I think it's pretty established to be its own short of its own right. Right down to getting reused in Fantasia 2000, to even getting its own lame feature-length Nicolas Cage, Jerry Bruckheimer produced adaptation. What? Based on a short story where a wizard has his own apprentice, Mickey takes the role of a follower and decides to test his skills to do his chores while getting in a load of trouble. I think I can vouch for anybody that this is a pretty iconic short. Whether you see Mickey in that hat and robe, you know exactly who he is and what role he's in. Where you hear those notes, you know what scene it's from. Heck, the film I mentioned before even includes the broom scene showing how influential it is. When choosing this short that myself and everybody knows describe the character at his best, this is a short I firmly believe cements that. He's cocky, sure of himself, and could easily play with the qualities we see in ourselves. With wonderful angles, colors, lighting, and timing coordinated to Stokowski's magnificent score, without a doubt, this represents one of the best Mickey Mouse shorts of all time. So now that I've shared my favorite Mickey Mouse shorts, why don't you do so in the comment section below? Now I'm Joey.T.Cartoon.P, and thanks for watching, and have a happy birthday, Mickey Mouse. I hope you got my cake.
I'm the guy they call Little Mickey Mouse. Not a squeaky cow in the chicken house. Neither fat nor skinny, she's the horse's. Winnie is my little Minnie Mouse. When it's feeding time for the animals, and they howl and growl like the cannibals, I just turn my heel to the hen house steel, and you'll hear me sing this song. Oh, the old tom cat.